We're trying to dismantle the 1.7 trillion credit gaps. So huge credit gap for women entrepreneurs. And we do this by developing our own credit score. It's called Athena score. And we help financial institutions use Athena score to see women in a different light, to see all the invisible data that they have been ignoring as viable data in order to lend. He says there's nothing like failure. Failure is just the first attempt in learning. You learned the first time and then now you'll do it properly.
Yeah.
There's nothing like failure. Refocus, calibrate again, look at the ecosystem again, and learn new things, because learning never stops in entrepreneurship. Every day has learning moments, and that's what I learned, just to take it all in a positive light. It was a learning moment. What have I learned?
Yeah.
And what can I still continue learning?
Welcome back to Catch the Upswing. I'm really thrilled to sit down with Angie Madara today, the founding partner of Athena Fund X, and we'll hear all about that in a moment. But first of all, warm welcome, Angie. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you.
I'm so excited to finally meet you. I'm smiling ear to ear to finally meet you. So thank you for having me.
Angie, I've been following your work for a while, and it's really inspiring, everything that you do to kind of redefine leadership, support for women, women's entrepreneurship. So I'd love to hear, maybe just starting with your journey, how you came up with Athena Fund X and what you do there.
So Athena Fund X is a women-led fintech. We're trying to dismantle the 1.7 trillion credit gaps. So huge credit gap for women entrepreneurs. And we do this by developing our own credit score. It's called Athena score. And we help financial institutions use Athena score to see women in a different light, to see all the invisible data that they have been ignoring as viable data in order to lend. And therefore, we are hoping to unlock a lot more credit for women entrepreneurs.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And is it globally focused, or do you have a specific regional focus?
It has two main parts of it. One is the coaching, which anybody can access from anywhere. It's WhatsApp based, but very contextualized. So if you are, let's say, in London and you want to ask about the London context, we have information that will help you navigate your business life cycle in London. So it's very contextualized. But the credit and the access to finance, we've started it in Kenya. So hopefully when the pilots go well, we can scale that up to many more countries.
Great.
Yeah.
And can you take us back to the moment when you realized that lending or credit or funding overall isn't working for women entrepreneurs and decided to do something about it?
Oh my gosh, where do I start? So first of all, Athena is not my first business. It's my third. And if you count my university project, it's my fourth. And along the way, so the first three businesses, you run a business, but you wish, oh my God, can I get access to finance? I'm looking for a community of women who are in my space or in my location who I can speak to about certain things, and there was none. So we built Athena to focus on the things that I wish I had when I was building a business. I wish I had a coach that will help me, because it's really winging it. Entrepreneurship for most women is winging it. You have the idea, you go for it, and whatever happens, where the dice lands, that's how it is. But I wish I had someone who would share like tidbits of things that they've gone through easily and help me get to the next step faster. And that's why we built Athena. So it was looking at the biggest pain points that women self-select out of and tackle those. So when finance becomes a barrier, we just shut our businesses and go back home. If you're not getting the right network to support you, things become so difficult. You shut your doors, you go home. If you don't get coaching or someone to help you navigate, things become extremely hard. So Athena works on those three areas: coaching, capital, and networking the community.
I love how your personal experience is shaping how you're thinking about those solutions that you're now creating for other women. And I would love to hear perhaps a personal story or some examples of what it was like for you to build your own business back in the day. And what else, what were some of the hurdles that you experienced? Perhaps you have some examples.
I'll tell you about what I call my biggest failure, but in fact, my mentor shouldn't hear me saying failure because he literally hates the word. He says,
Really? Why?
He says there's nothing like failure. Failure is just the first attempt in learning. You learned the first time and then now you'll do it properly.
Yeah.
There's nothing like failure. But one of the biggest lessons that I had, so my background is financial services. I've been in financial services forever. And at this point, I was in a new country. I was in India. And I saw a big gap. And the entrepreneurial spirit in me thought, oh my gosh, this is something that you can do. And the gap was there were a lot of, that time, unemployment was really, really, really high. And a lot of university graduates, a lot. India has amazing graduates, up to PhD level, like so many. But the entry-level jobs were very few. So how do we help the ones that have very good qualifications enter the workforce? So I was just focusing on entry-level jobs. I was focusing on graduates. But I did not realize all the hurdles that I'll have to jump through. First of all, I'm in a new country. I do not know the ecosystem very well. In a new industry, people tech. I had never done anything along the lines of HR. My technology building skills were not as good as they are now. I was not very confident in building my tech, so I got external help to build my tech. Big mistake. So I had checkboxed all the rookie mistakes someone would. So I depended on an outsourced tech company to build my tech. I wasn't well conversant of the ecosystem, and it's very diverse. What you find in a different locality is not what you'll get in somewhere else. The governments are the areas are governed very differently. The bureaucratic processes that universities go through is not as easy as I anticipated. So everything that you can name went wrong, and I lost a lot of money. And so I licked my wounds. We moved to London and I joined a startup. And I purposely was looking to join a startup because I knew that joining that startup, I would relearn, because I had built a business before, but I would relearn how businesses now are built. And it's very different. Things change very quickly in the startup space. So things that I saw in 2007 were not the things that were happening at that time, it was 2015, or not the same things that were happening then. And even now, things have changed completely. AI has changed everything. If your pitch deck doesn't have AI, nobody will pay attention to your pitch deck. I had to relearn, and sometimes it's all right. It's okay to take a step back and just refocus, calibrate again, look at the ecosystem again, and learn new things, because learning never stops in entrepreneurship. Every day has learning moments, and that's what I learned, just to take it all in a positive light. It was a learning moment. What have I learned, and what can I still continue learning?
Yeah, I love that growth mindset, because I think when you're in entrepreneurship, it's almost inevitable, right? It's part of the process that you fail, you learn, you move on, you grow. And I think it's really important to kind of change our attitude, right? Because if you are afraid of failing, you're not even trying. And then
absolutely,
you take setbacks not as an opportunity to learn and grow, but to discourage you. And that's really a shame, because it's just basically an essential part of entrepreneurship, I would say.
There's somewhere I read, I can't remember where I read it, but it said that resilience is not a characteristic trait. It's not a character trait. Resilience is a callus that we have built by showing up in situations where we have been dismissed or knocked down or failed. That builds resilience. It's not like, oh, this is me. I am I'm a sporty person, I'm fun, I'm good, and I'm resilient. It's not a character trait. It's something that we actively have to build. And I think that's very true in entrepreneurship. We have to build resilience. And it's not easy. Hearing those no's can break you. And you hear no's so many times before you get that one yes.
Yeah, I love how you're thinking about resilience, because that's something that's been on my mind for a little bit. Is it the more often you encounter challenges, the more resilient you become, or is there like a sweet spot, or what makes us resilient? So it's really interesting to hear that it kind of comes from experience. It's not something that you're born with, or just like a character trait.
Absolutely. I read that and I was like, yeah, I agree.
So when we go back to your entrepreneurial journey and some of the lessons that you learned, I wonder how would you do it differently if somebody's, for example, listening and has an interesting idea, right? And maybe they're not a tech person. They're thinking about outsourcing it. You mentioned that was a mistake. What would you recommend they do instead?
If you can learn how to do it yourself, do it yourself. And these days we are lucky. Oh my God, we are so lucky. Back in the day, I couldn't even think about building my website without having to actually write the PHP code. I couldn't even imagine, like my coding experience, like we did C++. It's very hardcore.
Yeah. I tried that as well.
But these days, there are so many apps, so many AI tools that you could use to build your website. You could use to build your prototype or product. And they're the ones that build the face of your product, and they're the ones that actually do the engineering work. And you can do that. It will take you like $100 to do it. If you can't do it yourself. Start small. That's what I say. I see, people having ideas and you immediately jump on it. 100%. You quit your job. I want to do this. Have your job as a safety net. Don't quit too fast.
Also to have enough runway, right?
Exactly. You still have to pay your bills. And like it or not, some businesses will turn a profit 3 years later. What are you going to do in those 3 years? Have that safety net, but try small and try fast. So build prototypes, test with 5, 10, 50 users. Is it something that's going to work out financially? Work on your business model. One of the biggest challenges that we are having right now as Athena, and I'll be very frank with you, is when we started, it wasn't supposed to be a fully fledged business. Well, I started Athena as a response to questions that I was getting. I'd just come out of an exit. My previous company, an edtech company, had been acquired, and I was getting a lot of questions. How did you do this? Who did you talk to? Who can I reach out to do this? And instead of regurgitating everything one person after another, I decided, and this is the time AI chatbots were just coming out. Why can't I download everything that I have on a chatbot? So I built the first version of it. Why can't I download everything that I've learned, get other women who are very strong and who've done amazing things to talk about different parts? So if I've seen within my network, at least I have a sizable network. If I've seen within my network someone is very good in her marketing, why don't I bring her along to talk to other women about how they did their marketing? And then add an AI part of it that helps these entrepreneurs ask questions in their local languages. So that was the first version. And it wasn't supposed to be a business. So I put it out there. I worked with an NGO in South Africa who were calling me to do master classes every weekend. And very soon I didn't have weekends because I was doing master classes for women entrepreneurs in South Africa. But once I built that chatbot, because it's not just the South African women who wanted to know what I knew, other women as well from everywhere. So once I built that chatbot, I put it out there and just waited. In about 3 months, we had nearly 7,000 women from that NGO that I was working with in South Africa using the platform actively, like daily. And we had another group of women who had heard about, because I posted it on my LinkedIn, who had heard about it and were testing it, about 1,000 or so. So all of a sudden, within 3 months, it had 8,000 users. I was like, okay, what can we do next? Let's grow it. And it took me a while to actually come down to, okay, now can we turn it into a business? I wish I had thought about the business model before, because the danger is once you give things freely, putting a charge in it, some people will leave because they're used to the free things.
Right.
So think, for someone who's entering entrepreneurship, think about your business model very, very clearly before you take even the first step of putting it out there. Make sure there is a plan behind it. And it's interesting because even as a fourth business, I'm still making mistakes. It's not, I don't think there's anyone who has learned, who's like a perfect entrepreneur. Everything
And also because
changes.
the environment is messy, right? And as you just described it, that opportunity kind of almost grew like a bit organically. So it wasn't something that you could have forecasted and perfectly planned in advance.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You spoke about the opportunity of AI and how you have been using AI to develop your own solutions. You also made the joke that I think was, had like a really serious lens to it about pitch decks that need to nowadays talk about the opportunity of AI and how they're incorporating that into their business model. And I wonder, with so much conversation going on about the massive opportunity, but also some of the big risks, especially when we think about bias, diversity, etc. What is it that you see in AI? How do you currently see the opportunity? How do you balance the risks, and how do you use that for the solutions that you're building?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Exactly.
Where is the opportunity when it comes to AI? You see, we work in the financial sector, which is, I think, the oldest sector in the world. That and medicine, I think. Very old, very patriarchal. And trying to change the systems that have been in existence for years and years is quite hard. Quite hard. We see, financial systems, how they operate right now. I'd use something again that I heard, I can't remember where, but financial institutions lend based on what you have previously had, what your past says about you, so what you own, in order to give you opportunities for the future, what you will have. But when we look at women and gender, and even include youth in that frame, they don't have that past that financial institutions look at. They don't have assets. So they are thin file applicants. They don't have assets, no collateral, no formal credit histories. They don't have, some of them have not used formal financial institutions to transact. Most of them use mobile money transactions. But this is data that formal financial services and firms don't look at. So we have this big piece of the population that is invincible. They're not seen completely. And AI brings an opportunity here for traditional lenders to now look at this market segment because it's huge. And there's a misconception of looking at this group as charity. Oh, let me just help the women. Let me do a good thing. It's a charitable thing to help women. But it's not. It's real big business. It's big business. And AI now helps us look at alternative data that can be presented as viable collateral. We have women and youth are the most active on WhatsApp. Women and youth are the most active on Facebook. They have already digital footprints. Why aren't we harnessing these digital footprints? Women-led businesses have had very good traction when it comes to customer trust. If I go to a shop and I see a woman, I'll be more comfortable buying from that woman. I know they'll store, if it's produce place, I know they'll store fresh produce because they care about what they give. They have families themselves. So there's that care into the kinds of businesses that they build. It's only when you talk to a woman, you'll hear words like, my business, they term their business as their baby. Men don't say that. I've never heard a single man saying, oh, you see, this product is my baby. No, women have that extra care, which is something that's overlooked. It means that we are fully invested in this business as part of us. Our children are part of us. We are invested in this. So we won't quit easily. We'll try and try and try. We'll have that grit to go on for our baby. But this is something that the banks don't look at. They don't look at customer trust. They don't look at communities. They don't look at that sense of ownership, real ownership of that business. We won't just drop it when things go bad. They don't look at digital footprints. They don't look at mobile money data. In Asia, in Africa, mobile money is like where most transactions are carried out. But that mobile money data is not looked at. And this is rich data. And AI can help us dig and get this rich data. Yeah. We are doing credit scores in seconds, things that have taken financial institutions 3 days, a week. You put in your loan application and next week you'll hear the results. We can do that in seconds, and that's the opportunity that AI brings. The invisible people are now visible. Assessment of credit is like a snap of a finger, and I'll get to know, okay, Jessica is good for it. I'll give Jessica a loan. And the term that I like to use for that is the bias in AI is like data apartheid. There are those who are within, it's built for a certain type of people. The others are left behind.
It's so interesting. And I wonder, because you have that experience, in Kenya and the UK and India and different countries, do you see more of an openness from financial institutions, for instance, or other actors in a country like Kenya? Because Kenya has been at the forefront of financial innovation for so long, compared to the UK? Or is it, do you see kind of some countries more leading than others when it comes to your solution and being open to that?
It's the backlash I get on a daily basis. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. It's hard. And even in a market like Kenya, so I'll give you an example of a pilot that we're still doing in Kenya. We had, through my previous work, I had a good relationship with bank in Kenya. And I told them about what I'm doing. This is what I want to do. I didn't want to build my own loan book, first of all, until I proved that this scoring can work. So try small. So I talked to this bank. Our target was just 2,000 women. Let's use our credit score on 2,000 women that you have not banked and see whether it works, whether they pay back, whether it's going to be a score that you can use. And the bank told me, this is fantastic. In fact, we like working with women. Women always pay back their loans. So why aren't you banking more women? Anyway, but we can't go on with this credit score. Why? We'll need first loss guarantee. I picked up myself, and luckily, last year I came for the 2X summit in Nairobi, and I met a very good group of people from the African Guarantee Bank. So I went to them, hey, this is what I'm doing. There's this bank that I'm working with. Please come in and give first loss guarantees. And they go like, this will be the 5th time we're giving this bank first loss guarantee to serve women. We give them first loss guarantee. They never draw down from the guarantee because the women always pay back. But yet they're asking you for first loss guarantee. I told them, yeah, please, just come in. Let's prove that this model works. So they came in. with the first loss guarantee.
That's amazing.
The bank said, okay, let's do it. 2,000 women, let's do it. And they were microloans because the bank wanted to penetrate the microloan ecosystem, which is very crowded in Kenya. So they want to be that bank that actually people trust. There's so many micro lenders in Kenya, and we're not quite sure about them. Some of them are very dodgy. Like if you don't pay, they'll publicize to your network that Angie hasn't paid. It's super dodgy. So the bank wanted to penetrate it and capture that micro loan market. So they did lend to these women, very small loans, $100 to $300. Guess what? 98% of them have already paid. And the other 2% are still paying. So I go back to the bank. Okay, so now we've proven that this works. Let's scale it. We need a bigger first loss guarantee.
And what do you think? Is it that mindset shift that those traditional banks just can't overcome? Because the whole point of those risk sharing facilities or guarantees and instruments like that is to basically have a pilot or, to make the case, right? And then once you have evidence that it's actually working, then you don't need that
Then
anymore.
you don't need it anymore.
What do you think it is that makes it so hard for the banks to accept that evidence and get over it?
I think it's again going back to the archaic way of credit assessment. It's very hard to change that. And at this point, I think we don't need to change it. I think we just need a new system altogether. We need a different type of lender who understands this, who lends to this. And one that I've seen, and I hope they will do it, is in Ghana. So the president of Ghana, President Mahama, is starting a women bank, a women-only bank, led by women, funding women and women entrepreneurs that understand and speak the language of women and women entrepreneurs. I think we need a new system altogether. What our financial institutions are comfortable in, serve other people well, let them continue. But for us, I think we need a new game. We don't need to change the game.
And when you think about that, that future vision, like a different type of institution, do you think one avenue is, for example, to create a new bank, even if it's more like a traditional bank, but because it has a different culture from the start and different diverse leadership, etc., that is a way to go? Or is it more the fintechs that are just doing things completely differently?
The fintechs have a very big opportunity to get this market, to hold this market. And like what happened with M-Pesa? I used to work with M-Pesa as one of the founding members of M-Pesa. So here came this fintech. It's the grandmother of mobile payments. And we were doing our thing outside of the bank. Of course, the bank was our escrow. That's where our money was held. But that's all they did, holding the money until we needed to distribute. And when the bank was styling up to the fact that, there's something here they missed, it was too late. M-Pesa was miles and miles ahead. I think that's what needs to happen. We need more innovative fintechs that understand the women entrepreneurship and women financing and gender lens investment sector really well and scale it, because it's by trying to fix this $1.7 trillion US credit gap, it creates an opportunity that's worth $5 to $6 trillion US. That's money lying on the table.
Huge untapped market opportunity.
My gosh, it's huge. Invest, fix this one, and you get who wouldn't want to do that?
This feels like a good moment to share a resource, especially if this conversation has sparked your curiosity about investing in women. 2X Global is a global investor community focused on advancing gender-smart investing. On the website, you'll find research and practical resources on the business case for investing in women, as well as tools that help investors integrate a gender lens across the full investment cycle, from origination and due diligence through value creation and portfolio management, all the way to responsible exits. If you're looking for clarity and hands-on guidance in the space, it's a useful place to explore.
But yes, so to answer your question, we need more fintechs, but also we need other banks that think differently, that know that my only customer who's going to come through that door is a lady who's a business owner, and I need to think like her in order to serve her.
Yeah.
That's what the system needs. Yeah.
You know what I'm curious about is when you look at some of the critique of AI and some concrete examples around the world, sometimes something that does come up is bias in credit scoring. So, for example, I think it's more traditional financial institutions, for example, or other kind of vendors. And when they do try to implement AI for credit scoring purposes, there have been examples of significant gender bias, but also bias against other other diverse groups, whether it's racial bias, etc. And I wonder, when you approached your solution, how were you able to make sure that your credit scoring doesn't perpetuate those biases that we see in the system?
First of all, I'd like to say that AI intrinsically, when you program it, intrinsically will have some level of bias. And even what we are doing as Athena Fund, it has bias against men and against people who don't have, the high volumes of digital footprint that women have. It's specifically looking at women. So anyone else who's not a woman, and it will serve youth as well. They fit within that same mold, but anyone else will be biased against them.
Because it's so intentionally designed for women and youth. So you're basically, because you're not comparing the entire population, you don't have bias against women because you're kind of overriding that bias by only focusing on that target audience.
Absolutely. And then and at this stage, I don't think that kind of bias is bad. I don't think it's necessarily bad because the financial systems have a bias against this group of people. So why can't we have these two things running in parallel? Brings the best out of each group, and then serve that group. And it has to be intentional. Most of the banks that I've talked to don't even have gender disaggregated data.
Right.
They don't know how many women are being banked. I attended a forum a few weeks ago. It's a big international bank, and they were celebrating about the fact that their AI model can now. This bank has been in existence for more than 200 years. They are celebrating the fact that now the bank can tell who's a woman and who's not. And it was a big thing. There were fireworks going out. The AI model works. And I'm like, oh my gosh, 200 years. And now is when you know your customer?
Yeah.
Isn't that the first thing that you should be doing?
Right.
Who are you banking? First of all, so that's the first step. I think banks and other financial institutions should demand gender disaggregated data, because you can't fix what you don't know.
Right.
So let's have that apartheid broken. Let's have that data into the light.
When you think about the future and the big goals that you still see ahead of you, what are you aiming for next?
I've found real fulfillment in this space that we are in, making sure that women have access to capital, making sure that systems understand the opportunity and the impact of serving women. In our one-liner, when we were building Athena, we were talking about 1 million women, and we have a counter. We have an active counter that counts up to the 1 million. But to me, it's not about the number. Like, I can get 1 million if I go to India for a few months. I can go to Nigeria. Just Lagos itself, I'll get my 1 million women. I don't think it's about the number. I think right now it's making sure that these women have autonomy over their economic lives. They have power to control how the financial lives and their business trajectory is going. And I would want to be in a space that goes from women's economic empowerment. Like, I think I'm tired of hearing that. Women's economic empowerment. We need to be talking right now about resilience.
Right.
Women's economic resilience. Empowerment is fine. Don't stop empowering. Give tools. But there's some women who have been over-empowered. In fact, when you go to a market like Kenya and you're talking to women entrepreneurs and you're introducing a new tool, I have this new tool, they will not listen. They will walk off. How many tools do we want these women to have?
Yeah.
We need to now start talking about economic resilience because the shocks are coming. Climate change is working against women. It's affecting more women than men adversely, and women entrepreneurs who are in the spaces that are climate reliant, agriculture, manufacturing, that value chain of agriculture. There's a lot of women who play significant roles in it that are being affected by climate change. What are we bringing to the table that will help them remain resilient? Shocks are coming. Shocks are going to hit. Shocks will hit us more times and with more intensity than they will hit men. And I'm not even talking about women in agriculture and those kinds of spaces. Women entrepreneurs in general.
Yeah.
After Trump's rhetoric and closure of USAID, so many funds that were supporting women closed down. Women entrepreneurs closed down. After the tech bros announced that they're no longer looking at diversity, some of the CSR programs that were giving grants to women entrepreneurs shut down. So we need now to look at what next? How can we support these women in order to make sure that they are resilient? And that is what scares me, but at the same time brings me excitement because I see the opportunity. If these women can have autonomy, they can have control, they can remain resilient and weather the storm, it looks like this on the other side. And that's exciting.
Oh, I love it. And resilience is also something that at 2X Global we've really been focusing on recently. And I wonder if you have some concrete examples of what you have seen works, what are, for example, something that I've seen at this nexus of climate and focusing on women, is, for example, some more innovative insurance products that you can put on top of credit products for women entrepreneurs that focus on extreme weather events or climate shocks, right? That's just one example. I wonder if you have seen things that you find promising and that you would like to see scale.
There is a nonprofit, a big one, I think CGAIR, that have incorporated satellite monitoring in smallholder farms. And the satellite monitoring have AI models that can predict when an adverse weather event is going to happen. And even before that weather event happens, like they predicted, was it flood? I think it was a flood in Kenya, not a drought, a flood. But they predicted a flood and they prepared the women. So this is going to happen. Don't plant at this time. For the women whose fields will be waterlogged, here is some money up front to help you get that land back up to production capability once the flood is over. And that happened even before the women had to apply for loans. Like this is the kind of thinking that we need. Yeah. And the opportunity again that AI can bring on the table. Our traditional financial institutions are not equipped to handle gender and diverse climatic events. It like hits a wall. They're not able to handle. And in fact, I'm currently writing a paper, and I hope I'll be done soon. And my prediction is by 2030, which is in the next 5 years, by 2030, the effects of climate change will have affected women and will have actually increased that credit gap that women need by 4 trillion.
Oh dear.
So we need to act, and we need to act fast. And we need financial institutions to have this in mind. So my plan is, after I've written this paper, nobody prompted me to write this paper. Sometimes I do things and I wonder why you're even. But I know that it's coming. We all know it's coming. And sometimes we need a number put on a paper to get people to wake up.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a call to action.
Exactly. So that's my hope that the right eyes will see it, and especially the DFIs that fund some of these financial institutions will have a look and demand for more action from them.
And it strikes me that there's really an opportunity for greater partnerships, right? Because as you said, the traditional banks, it's not a competitive advantage to think about all of those things, but there's so many innovative companies like yours, for example, who are solving that challenge, right, of the credit scoring and provide alternative ways to do it. So there's a unique opportunity to partner with banks. Similarly, this venture that you just described, right, predicting extreme weather events, that is also an amazing opportunity to partner with those innovative companies. And so I also wonder how we can build more bridges and kind of bring together those different players to create greater impact for everybody.
Absolutely. That's a good point. And the problem is too big for one player to fix. And I wish I could repeat this to everyone that I meet, because we come into this space with such a competitive attitude. I want to have the most customers. It's not about, there's plenty to be had by everyone. This pie is big enough for all of us, and we're playing different parts. So you can imagine if CGAIR with the weather prediction AI tool and our credit scoring and a financial institution who holds now the purse strings come together, and a DFI who's funding the financial institution, and someone like African Guarantee Bank who's giving first loss guarantees come together, that can impact so many lives, millions of lives. We are, and I'm happy because very many bad things have come from President Trump's rhetoric, but one good thing that has come is that need to collaborate. I'm seeing now a lot of collaborations happening, and it's an interesting space to be in. I hope we'll see even more.
I also wonder, with everything you have shared, it's amazing how you see the opportunity when it is so hard. It's hard on a personal level. You've mentioned how difficult it is to hear so many no's until you get to a yes. But also, right, what you're focusing on with this paper, looking at the gap, the finance gap for entrepreneurs and especially women entrepreneurs, is already so massive and overwhelming. And then when you have those predictions that it's going to be even worse rather than seeing progress, how do you keep hope alive? How do you practice, that sense of resilience and keep going, seeing the opportunity when it can feel so overwhelming?
Like I said earlier, when I was giving my advice to first-time entrepreneurs going into entrepreneurship, start small. Like, I know the problem is too big, but maybe a paper can be the first step.
Can get the ball rolling.
Some conversations happening. Yeah. Start small. Take those baby steps. My mentor, he doesn't know he's my mentor, by the way, but I will claim him. It's called Martin. Martin said to me recently that, Angie, you need to hold yourself before you fail. And he explained, by holding yourself before you fail, because failure is coming. It's inevitable. We will all fail at some point. I haven't yet seen anyone who's had a successful life in everything that they've done.
Especially if you're taking risks, right?
Exactly. There's some points where
you have no failures, you're kind of playing it safe.
Like, who are you? You must be an alien. But he told me, Angie, you need to hold yourself before you fail. And by holding yourself, find things that ground you when those shocks come. So my I used to walk, and I walk a lot. I still do. Those are some of the things that even when things go very wrong, let's stop. Let's go for a walk, and I'll come back to it. And last December, I love music, and I listen to all types of music. Name it, I've listened to it. But we went for a concert, and there was this female saxophonist. She was really good. She was rocking it with the saxophone. And I said, oh, wow, that sound is amazing. I love the sound of a saxophone. So my husband went and got me a saxophone.
Oh, I love it.
I'm like, could have gotten me a CD or made a playlist for me with saxophone, but he went and got me a saxophone. So I am learning how to play the saxophone, and it forces me to disengage completely. I have to know where my fingers are, how I'm blowing, how I'm using my tongue. It's called tonguing. So weird. How I'm using my tongue to play the sax. I have to completely disengage from my work to play this instrument. And, find moments where you have to just switch or go on a digital detox. Just a weekend, leave your WhatsApp, I do that all the time, by the way, these days. I used to find it so hard, but these days I find it super easy. Just no phone, no computer, and for the whole weekend. Find those moments, because otherwise you'll get overwhelmed. It's too much.
Thank you so much. It's very practical. I love those practices. So Angie, thank you so much for everything you have shared. That's really great practical advice. And thank you also for sharing so openly about your story, because I think that's what we don't hear often enough. What's really everybody focuses on the success stories, and sometimes it looks like success comes overnight. So I think also just really hearing about the journey and all of the lessons that you have learned and the advice that you're sharing is so really, really powerful. I would love to see if we could share a few resources with our listeners, because we see our audience not only as, our listeners, but really as a community that we also want to provide with some tangible tools and solutions. And I remember you mentioned at the outset this WhatsApp group, for example, for advice for entrepreneurs. So how can people who are interested in your solutions get in touch or be part of your community?
So it's on our website, www.athenafundx.com. On the top right side, there is a yellow tab where you can experience it. It's not a WhatsApp group, so you can share your things with confidence, not if you don't want it to be seen by everyone. You can just interact with it, ask it your silly questions. The good thing about it is nobody will look at you like, oh my God, Angie's so dumb. She's not getting it. You can ask the same question 15 times and we will try and give you answers differently until you're comfortable with it. The next step we want to build is audio. Some people find it super hard to type. Like these days I've become so lazy. I'd rather send you an audio text than to actually type it out. But in those moments, you can be doing something else and you want to talk and have it played back, something that you can do. You can do that as well.
Yeah, very helpful. Thank you so much, Angie. And we'll make sure to link all those website links and any other resources in the episode description so everybody can check this out.
Thank you so much for having me, Jessica. It's been one. This is like therapy, You should you should start charging. I feel so light.
It's been really, really, really great conversation. And I would also like to encourage our audience to actively engage in this conversation. So use the comments. I will personally take a look and respond. If you have questions for Angie, I will get those answers for you. So please also be an active part and also use this as an opportunity to, for therapy or for any other purposes that is helpful to you.
Absolutely. And they can connect on LinkedIn. I'm always active on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
Fiji has the third longest barrier reef in the world, and it is one of the most resilient in the world. When other coral reefs around the world have died, these reefs will be able to be used as the seed stock. So they're super, super important. But if we have waste and pollution running off into the ocean, forests cut down for agriculture, mangroves cut down for tourism. And if we have overfishing, we are going to destroy the reef on our own. It doesn't matter what's going on globally.
Jodie Smith spent 2 decades in Hollywood until she hit a glass ceiling and chose to walk away. In Fiji, she transformed a 160-acre farm into an organic operation, earning the nickname the Organic Lady.
But her bigger mission was protecting the coral reef, and she realized finance could be the tool. So she built Matanataki, using capital to help safeguard the Pacific's future.
In the Pacific, entrepreneurship is very nascent. And so we have, I think, this opportunity to create the circumstances we want in order to create the economy we want. We can have direct impact on things at a macroeconomic level. The companies all connect to each other in some way. And the reason why we have them connect to each other is because through that connection, there's this ability to actually have an impact at a landscape and a seascape level. It can feel very, very lonely. We're holding like this little light. And when you find those lights, then the light gets stronger. Together we are Matanataki. The economy is a subset of the ecosystem. We only have an economy because we have a planet.